Hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Hello there. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we endeavor to discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics with you. It's a weekly format. We have a lot of fun with it and usually have a pretty good turnout for this on our writer staff for the weekly show. And once again, we do again today with four out of our five writers on board. Case is off. Case didn't really give an excuse why he was out today. So my guess is with the weather going to be nice today and him a recent new homeowner for the second time, I'm expecting there's a honey-do list out there.
I was literally gonna say the wife got a hold of him.
I could be wrong, but yeah, that's the way I'm betting. Uh, but still, we have a strong crew in here. We got our show engineer today, Jeff McAdams, is in with us. He kind of, I'm not sure how they do it, but they kind of split the duties on this. And
Yeah.
maybe you could give us kind of an explanation on what is it that you do, Jeff?
Yeah, so I take we use shout it out. Video Ninja is the name of the site that we use that allows us to all get on a call together. But unlike like Skype or something or some of the others where I would be able to record a single audio stream that has all of you all mixed in together on it. Video Ninja lets me get separate streams in of each person individually, and lets us mix it together, control volumes a little bit, depending upon how close to the mic you all are sitting or what microphones you're using. The audio may change a little bit. We can tweak that a little bit. My responsibility is usually to take that and stream it live, to do the live stream, to the YouTube live stream. And then Case does the same thing, but he then records it down into a file and then takes that file right after we're done, tweaks the editing, tweaks the volume levels, whatever. Again, kind of a post tweak where you can do a little more with it, make it sound a little nicer, and then post it to the podcast. But in this case, with Case being out, when we had flip rolls around, I'm recording it also, so I can do the same thing as well. But it just is, we usually split the duties just to make it a little easier.
So Jeff stepping up and taking on a double role today. Not only is he going to try and play a little offense, but he's also going to see if he can stop some people on the defensive end as well. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Jared in house with us as well. Jared had some family things to attend to this morning, but he got those done in time to join us for the full broadcast. And I, for one, have to say I'm very happy about that because scheduling and Twitter would have fallen in my lap had he not been here in time. So, Jared, so glad you're here.
Yeah, me too. Woke up to a 9:30 text. Hey, your dad's siblings are going to be down at your late grandma's place, which is just right across the parking lot for me. And they're like, you need to go over and say hey. I'm thinking, oh man, I got to rush then to try and get back because they weren't showing up to about 10:15, 10:30. And so I got to stay long enough to say hey to them. And then once they started, going through all the belongings and everything else they needed to, I'm like, okay, cool, I can bounce. So made it over here and then get to go on out to UofL baseball right after this on this beautiful weather day.
So, is this
See,
a
Paul,
wide
you were excited because you don't have to do scheduling Twitter. I'm excited Jared's on because this man knows so much, he covers so much, and I just think he brings an element of the show that just we need. So thank you for making it in time, Jared, and shout out to the fam.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Really
just
does, yeah.
glad it's a weekend full of picture taking.
Yeah, well, you're going to have your hands full. I mean, I bet the only thing you're not going to get in is a little lacrosse unless you're planning on hopping over to Charlottesville real quick. But
Yeah, I don't think teleportation has been quite invented yet. I'll leave that to Jeff and Case to figure out.
you can just hit Matt Paris, beam me up. Boom. There you are. All of a sudden, he appears. But we had some fun earlier in the week and such with the women's basketball where Daryl was nice enough to actually bring me in some cupcakes. Can you believe that? How nice of her. And in due turn, I went ahead and shared cupcakes with everybody. Maybe the highlight of the whole thing was sharing that one with Casa Robinson.
Yeah, that was
That's awesome.
a cap. That was awesome. And mentioned it in my post that she's standing there, and I wish I would have said a few more things, but she got so excited for the cupcake, like she smelled it across the room or something because she just gravitated.
I
Polly
was
held it
thinking the
up.
same thing.
She's like, She goes, "Is that a cupcake?" Like she's not allowed sweets or something, and I don't know how Haley somehow got whiff of the cupcake too because she felt left out, and I just imagine they both split it right down the middle in the back, and enjoy their little half of a cupcake.
I hate to break your image of that, Daryl. But I saw Casa a second time on the way out. She was headed toward the elevators when I was leaving.
She
I
darted
said,
out of there with it.
"Did you share with Haley?" She goes, "No." So if Haley, let's say for example, gets picked for the post game selection process interviews that we do after home games, if Haley is up there, we better have something on us.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a
And we
package
gotta
or.
also mention Haley always gets gifts from the fans.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what
that's
we were
true.
talking about. She even had this medallion around her neck
I
that
had
a
to
fan had
put my
made for her.
sunglasses on for this thing,
I mean, she didn't look like she had just won a WWE title or something, you know,
and it
wearing
was
this big
awesome.
thing.
I need to
It was
find
a
one
big
of
girl,
those.
a big girl, and
It was
it's
like the
awesome.
throwback card.
Yeah.
No, a fan
Duncan
made this
card
for
is
me.
yeah.
They always do this for
That's
me.
great.
You know, that's what the fans do. They just give me stuff like this. And
Yeah.
poor Costa's looking at her, obviously. She said, I don't have one. Nobody
Well,
makes
she
Maybe
won
one
coffee.
for
the
you, leftover cupcakes.
Yeah.
Haley won the
So,
battle of the Haleys, so that was her belt
Yeah.
or her
Indeed.
there was some doubt about that for a while, though, and especially in the third quarter when,
And she's
as we
staying
get
on the
into
right side of NIL stuff apparently, which helps.
yeah, it's and I didn't realize it was about to go down, but
Yeah, I didn't either.
I talked just real briefly with my Miami head coach after the game. I said, "Stay strong," not realizing that
You
about
did not
What
know.
that was
I did.
interpreted, yeah.
I said, "Stay strong," and she kind of just goes,
Foreshadowing.
"I will." And she's a great girl. I mean, you know, I love her
It's
to
a
death.
great
She's
coach.
been around
Yeah.
for a long time. I didn't know that thing was about to go down. So that was she's probably thinking to herself, "How did that son of a up in Louisville know that I was about to get plastered?" I don't know. No, it didn't happen, though, fortunately. But and as for me, just a busy week, kind of maintaining stuff around the website, taking care of the things I got to do medically. Certainly had enjoyed having my birthday, of course, you know, celebration at the game and also the day before. And then Sonia had hers on the 24th, so that was very nice as well. As last night took her out to a pretty nice dinner. You know,
Nice.
we didn't exactly break the bank book, but had a pretty good fare. Sat down, had a nice dinner, and even had a couple glasses of wine to celebrate, and then uh, good night's sleeping also. It's been a good week. People ask me how things are going these days. I'll tell them, hey, it's been a good day, or it's a day I'd rather be horizontal than vertical.
Mm.
Uh, you
Well,
know,
you got to celebrate your birthday, Sonia's birthday, a women's basketball win. You got to talk to Teeter. That is a pretty darn good week.
yeah, the teeter. The only thing that hacked me off about the teeter interview, not the interview in itself, gang, but it was actually the fact that I could not remember in my senile old brain of mine how to take one of those things off my Tascam recorder and put it on to a website and set it up as a link. Now, I used to do this all the time back when we were on the radio. You know, we had a lot of interviews where I didn't have Jared there to record it because when Jared records it, it's simple pimple. I don't have to do anything.
It just shows up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Boom.
Yeah, you
Magic.
press a couple buttons and makes it on YouTube.
And there you go. That didn't work with me for some reason on audio. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I vow to never do any audio again ever in my life. No, I'm kidding. What resulted is I ended up typing out the highlights of the interview, which took 20 times as long as the actual interview did. But anyway, that's so. But so we're gonna have some fun today. Got some great things to talk about. We're gonna do a little lacrosse, a little softball, a little women's basketball. But first of all, we're gonna start out with the aforementioned schedule in and Twitter, where Jared will step in and provide this information for us, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Got all that pulled up here, and it's certainly a busy Saturday, including the Louisville area. Starting with swim and dives, got kind of a what they call the last chance. So you're not truly competing against anybody as much as you're just trying to get your own time and score up to qualify for NCAAs. So that's already begun this morning, and then they'll kind of have a finals round later this evening about 5 o'clock. You head a little bit out towards the west end at the Norton Healthcare Sport and Learning Center. We still have the ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships going on. That's another all-day affair. So far, it sounds like they've had quite a crowd out there, which is phenomenal to hear. Moving on, softball is back in action, still down in Orlando. They play Columbia. Actually, they're just about to start that one. No TV feed from what I can see. They'll turn around and play Bradley right afterwards. Another one, I don't see any type of TV feed. Lacrosse, not long after we get off air here, they're going to be at Virginia. So early season ACC match for them. This one's set for ACC Network, so you should be able to catch it on TV and online. Baseball stays at home against Bowling Green. 1 o'clock start for them. Men's tennis is also on campus. They've got a match at 2 o'clock, and then men's basketball is down in Georgia Tech at 2 o'clock today. So a busy Saturday. Nothing wrong with being busy, though. Can't complain there.
I was just going to mention, Jared, I think that these softball games are being shown on ESPN Plus. If you have the ESPN Plus subscription, which I think is like $9.95 a week or something.
A week?
You mean a month?
A month, I mean, excuse me, yeah, not a week, a month. Boy, that would be
I was
kind of.
about to,
$9.95 a
Jeff's
month is
ears.
bad enough, but a week.
I
Oh,
was about to rethink my
Oh,
subscription
just
there.
like a rattler in the bushes.
Yeah.
He's just waiting
What?
for me to slip up on
Sad.
something, and boom, he strikes. Yeah.
That's
It
actually
gets-
been one of my
well, no, I was
preferred
actually interested because I
purchases
actually
I made.
was kind of thinking about signing up for it, but then like it was like, what, a week? No, I'm not signing up for that.
No, it is.
It's a month, and you have that Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus bundle that you can look at as well. But I like ESPN Plus because you can catch a lot more, whether it's Louisville games or just any
Yeah, because there's a lot of
sporting event in general.
soccer stuff on there. That's
They were
international
supposed
soccer and
to
others.
actually
Oh yes,
get
Yeah.
things started last night at 7, and I kind of flipped over about 8 o'clock to see how things were going after we got back from dinner. Everything they had not started yet, and so
Wow.
I figured, well, it's got
Yeah.
to be weather, right? Or either some of the earlier games have gone way long. So I go over and take a look at Orlando weather, and there's nothing going on the weather maps.
Just the other game ran long, right?
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Because
think
I
that's what
turned it
sucks.
off and then found out maybe they postponed it and they're playing the doubleheader today. No, they started at 8:45.
Oh
So
my
they're
goodness.
an
Yeah.
hour and 45-minute delay on that thing. And I was a bit, confused on why the delay was, and they didn't mention it in the article. But nevertheless, they did get the game underway eventually, and sadly for Louisville. But anyway, continue, sir.
moving on to tomorrow. Women's soccer has a spring friendly against Racing Louisville FC. I can't find a time listed anywhere for that, so if anybody else is familiar with what time that is, please.
I didn't see one either, Jared.
So Go Cards on the master schedule and the women's soccer specific schedule both have TBA listed there. Unfortunately, this is one that I don't think will have anybody representing due to a women's basketball conflict, which I'll hit just in a minute. Softball will stay down in Orlando tomorrow. They've got a game against Purdue at 11 o'clock, and then they will turn around and play a rematch against UCF immediately following that one. Women's tennis is at home tomorrow as well. They've got a noon start. They're playing Georgia Tech, Bass Road Tennis Center. Weather pending, this could be indoors or outdoors, so plan for both if you're trying to head down to the Bass Road. Big one down at the KFC Yum Center tomorrow. It's Women's Basketball Senior Day and a rematch against number 10 Notre Dame. A lot of stuff on the line, which we're going to hit once we get to women's basketball later on, so I'll hold off for that. But this one is on ESPN. So no matter where you're at, you should be able to pick this one up. Baseball wraps up their series tomorrow as well. And my master schedule just cleared me out, so we're going to go right back in real quick.
I love that new schedule.
It's
So user friendly.
oh yeah, we're working on it. And then moving ahead to Monday, February 27th, Lacrosse will remain on the road. They've got a trip down to Nashville against Vandy. 2 p.m. start time is 2 p.m. Eastern time, if you're looking at that. Okay, we will go ahead and look down to Tuesday, February 28th to wrap up February. Softball is finally going to be at home for the first time. For their home opener, they'll play Bellarmine at 5 o'clock. Presume this one will probably be on ACC Network Extra. Baseball will also be going on campus roughly the same time Eastern Kentucky, and then men's basketball will close out their home season against Virginia Tech 9 p.m. that night. March 1st, we'll go on give everybody the day off, just because why not? Except if you're heading down to Greensboro, that will be the opening day for the women's basketball ACC tournament. The Cards have at least earned a first round bye, so they will not play on March 1st. Depending on what happens, they could play on March 2nd, day 2 of the ACC tournament, or not until Friday, March 3rd. A lot of other stuff going on March 3rd as well. Women's tennis is down in Chapel Hill against North Carolina. Rowing will pick back up. They're going to head down to Caryville, Tennessee. But Michigan is going to be the host. This is going to run March 3rd and 4th. They tend to run earlier in the mornings, around 10 o'clock start time. Softball will open up a pretty busy weekend at Ulmer Stadium, starting Friday at 2 p.m. against Northwestern. They'll turn around and then play Northern Kentucky at 6 p.m. So a bit of a gap in between, which is perfect if you're going to go out and watch lacrosse, who plays at 4 o'clock against Cincinnati at the lacrosse stadium. So if you see me running up and down Floyd Street, mind your business. I'm just trying to hit everything.
Dragging the camera behind him. Come on!
It'll be a wild weekend, and then baseball hits the road against the series at Texas A&M. Should be pretty good. By the time we get to Saturday, March 4th, rowing will be back in action, and then everything else going on that day will not have started yet, so we'll hit it next Saturday. So we'll jump over to Twitter just real quick. Casey's not here, tweets out his best case scenario, no E in the word best. Daryl tweets out his Daryl Faust 4, that's the number 4. Jeff tweets out his Jeff McAdams and Card Couple Radio. Paulie tweets out his Cardinal Couple, and I tweet out his Mr. Anderson Jared. And now we can move on to the next part of the show.
And there you have it.
Good job, Jared.
Busy week, holy cow.
Indeed.
Take a breath.
Yeah, go get yourself a drink of water and come back for the second inning.
Might need a 5-hour energy.
And there was something I was going to mention on it. My memory being so short on it, I can't remember now what I was going to talk about as far as that schedule went. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, it had something to do with lacrosse, but I can't remember what it was.
Lacrosse plays
It just
Friday at 4 p.m. against Cincinnati. Is that something to do with it, perhaps?
No, because I knew that Friday was going to be. Oh yeah, concerning the ACC women's basketball tournament. That's what it was going to be about.
Mm.
I'll be unable to attend this year,
Oh,
which
no.
kind of upsets me a little bit that I can't go, but I certainly understand the reasons why I can't go. Uh, in fact, who knows? I mean, I may not even get to watch the whole thing, but the plan is this. Is that I've cleared my schedule of a lot of things except the very necessary things. I plan on being perched in front of the TV for like the next, starting Wednesday for the next 5 days, watching the ACC tournament basketball. And what I will endeavor to do is try to jump in on the daily columns that we write here and add a little synopsis on what happened the day in the events.
Awesome.
Because as you know, on Wednesday you've got a very, very, very big day where the teams that unfortunately get slated to play Wednesday go into action.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Starting at 1 on ACC Network.
That's right. And then Thursday's even bigger with 4 games. And I think that's an 11 a.m. start, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken on that.
Last game slated for 8 p.m., so I'm sure that'll get started on time.
Yeah.
Louisville could have that 11 a.m. Thursday slot if they end up as the 5 seed. And if they end up as the 4 seed, they'll have the 11 a.m. Friday slot. So either way, they're going to have a fairly early morning.
So either way, I'm not available at work. Gotcha.
Correct. Same here.
Well, like I said, I'll be fortified and sit in here in my man cave to watch everything and to make sure that things are going well. And I'll be probably doing a lot of tweeting on this as well. So if you do follow on Twitter, I'll try to give you updates on games as they're going on.
And
Obviously,
Paul,
was
I don't want you to sell yourself short on this either. Didn't SID Matt, didn't he ask if you were going to be in attendance and kind of pushing you to go?
oh yeah, yeah. He knows of my history down there, and I don't think I can guess of. He's either talked to our stat crew goes down and does all the work down there each year for that, and they're all great guys.
For the ACC too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
We have one of the best stat crews in the ACC right
Uh,
now.
we really do.
And-
Except
I knew
Thursday
they-
night when they gave 2 turnovers to Mikasa Robinson that she didn't deserve, but okay, go on.
Don't. I mean, I knew they went to like the NCAA men's Final Four and did those.
Yeah,
Or at least
Dave.
used to. I think they still do.
In fact, they were asking me about that Thursday night if I was going down this year there, and I'm like, well, guys, 50-50 right now. It's not looking like it. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had some fun with them. We traditionally have stayed the last couple of years in this event down at the Marriott down there, which is a very nice hotel facility, maybe about 5 minutes away from the Greensboro Coliseum, and has a very nice bar. And that's where I'll stop this and move on to another segment.
Well, I will say again in praise of our stats crew, and we've said this before in the past, but it's been a while, so hey, let's re-up it. Our stats crew, the UofL stats crew, literally wrote the book on how to keep stats for NCAA basketball.
They did indeed.
The original manual on how to do it was written by the UofL stats crew. So
Interesting.
Oh yeah, the Louisville Athletics has a lot of nice, I guess, different groups and departments in there. Obviously, the stats crew, as we just talked about, but also they're one of the premier locations for grad students to go for a sport administration master's, which is why you'll see so many interns.
Yeah.
And just you couldn't meet a better group of guys, and they have had rock star status down in Greensboro. I've been going down there ever since Louisville's been in the ACC tournament, and they started taking it over then too, and they have rapidly reached rock star status down there. Everybody in Greensboro loves those guys.
Yeah,
and to sit at a table with them and just to hear some of the conversations they have, to see some of the people that walk up and talk to them, some of the people who come in and even have complaints sometimes, and we'll address them at lunch, saying, you know what, this is what I don't like. And of course, they're all very patient and take a very good ear to it. But a super group of guys. If you go to the Cardinal Couple website, you will see some pictures of them that I've taken over the years down at Greensboro, over on the right-hand side of the site. So if you go over there and scroll down, you'll see those guys, and they do a wonderful job. I will truly miss not being down there covering, as a journalist and also for Cardinal Couple, but also interacting with those guys because they're a lot of fun. And I'll also miss my favorite ushers down there, but enough of that.
But still, Paul, I also think that they'll miss you because, I mean, you're not just out there for Louisville games. You're out there at game 1 on Wednesday talking about whoever you're watching, and you're there all 5 days, whereas some other reporters are just there for their team, their team in the finals, and yada yada. So I'm sure they'll miss your face as well. I mean, it hurts me that you can't go. I just really wish you could because you represent us well. So
yeah, honestly,
everything is well.
probably the best coverage of the ACC women's basketball tournament out there.
Right. And for so long too that I just feel like the seats are probably permanently shaped to your butt.
They're still gonna have an honorary chair for Paul, even though it's not there this year.
After some of the Marriott post-day meetings I've had in the bar, it's a wonder I made some of the Friday and Saturday contests.
And our team too, Paul. I'm sure they got familiar with seeing you, and Coach Walls as well is going to miss you in those post games. So,
and just a funny side on that, Daryl. Before we'll get into the meat and bones of the show here, a funny side on this. About 3 years ago, it was in between games, and I was walking up to go to the snack bar they have up there in the main area where the media and others got free snacks, which was
very
great.
important. Yes,
popcorn, ice cream, candy bars, anything you wanted, free snacks.
The whole spread.
I was going up to get my snacks, and I hear this, Paulie, and I'm walking up this kind of aisleway, and I look up above me, and hovering over me is Courtney Walton.
Yeah,
Now she was still at Georgia Tech at the
it was
time.
a Georgia Tech then. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I said, Courtney, my love. And she came running down to me, and I gave her a big hug and everything. We were talking, and she goes, yeah, it's okay down there. I'd really rather be. And I'm like, I'd love to see you at Louisville, Courtney. I really would. She goes, I just wish I could get on that staff so bad. And Jeff Walls has promised me if anything ever develops, I'd get on that staff. And I'm
Well,
like,
lo and
I'll
behold.
put in a word for you too. Okay. I mean, Louisville needs you on this staff. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, a couple years later, boom. Courtney
Awesome.
Walton on the staff. And
Funny how things work out.
I think there was a little angel sitting on her shoulder saying, okay, Courtney, it's time for you to make a big move.
The mind is a powerful thing.
And I actually saw her twice when I was down there talking to Teeter earlier this week in
Nice.
her office both times, busily at work, trying to set stuff up, but not too busy not to have a few words with me and talk with me a
Yeah.
little bit. And
I've always enjoyed getting a chance to talk to Courtney. She's always a delight.
she's just, she's one that got away for a little while, but we rehooked her and now we got her in the net.
That's right.
Let's move on into the show, as it were, and I think we'll kind of start things off a little bit today with lacrosse. Lacrosse, of course, a team that has been playing quite well, honestly, doing very good, and gets into ACC play today as they will bring their act to Charlottesville, Virginia, and take on number 12, Virginia. It's the first ACC game for them, obviously. This is, I believe, a 1 p.m. game, and then they'll also turn right back and go into action on Monday. But then let's talk a little bit about this one coming up here, Virginia. A very, very good team, gang. What do you think of ACC teams that are good in lacrosse? They're certainly a very tough one this year as well. They're 3-0. They beat Princeton on last week. And if you know anything about the East schools as well, they all play pretty decent lacrosse because they've been playing it for a very long time up there. And some of those schools like Princeton and Harvard and some of the others. But they did go ahead and get that win 20-11 over Princeton. Louisville against Princeton, well, we don't have any record on that, but Louisville against Virginia, unfortunately, we're 0-8. 0-4 on the road, and they've beaten us, of course, at our place 4 times as well. We've had some close ones. In 2021, we lost to them 12-13, and last season we lost to them 11-12. So you can't get much closer than that, gang. Just I want to think that we've got a chance to go up and win this thing and beat them up there this year. I truly want to believe this is the year, but maybe I'm just being super optimistic. Let's take it around the table here. Can we go into Virginia and get a win, gang? Jared?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just watching, especially how the defense has played this year. I think that's been the big difference. Louisville's had an average defense at best these last few seasons, and then this year they've really turned it around. I mean, just looking, you held Denver to 5 goals, Colorado to 5 goals, Lindenwood, who has a really hot offense, only to 7 goals. So 3 matches in, and not a single opponent has broken the double-digit mark. It's incredible. And then the offense has really started to wake up recently, posting 12 and 14 goals, respectively, in the last 2 outings. I think they're starting to find their footing, a lot of talent, and we've not seen a ton of the freshmen and new faces in there quite yet. I think maybe as they're getting their feet wet, so the more they're getting out there, I think this team just becomes that more dangerous. So I think it's entirely possible to beat Virginia.
Teeter has been slowly bringing on some of the freshmen, or some of them have had to jump right in and take starting roles. The item that he and I talked a lot about in my interview up there with him was the battle for goalkeeper and how Sarah Dicci basically inherited because everybody else was too sick to play. And that's what he told me. He said, well, we're looking closer and closer to our first game, and everybody's got this lagging flu bug that's going around, and they're all coughing and sick. And here, Sarah was the only one who's healthy. So I had to kind of tell Jay Fleck, I'm starting Sarah. what a fortunate break for her.
Yeah,
She has stepped in and
take
been
advantage of
incredible. A
it.
junior this year. Uh, Look at her save percentage, .622. That's 62% save percentage and a 5.8 goals against average
That's
percentage. I
really
mean,
low.
that
Holy
is
cow!
that's just really low. And Jeff, you know, all for the fact that she was more healthy than the other two goalkeepers on the roster. She's come out and just put on a absolutely stellar campaign.
Yeah, and we hear Jeff Walls talk about all the time. When your number's called, you got to be ready, and that's what happened here, right? Her number got called for whatever confluence of reasons, illnesses and whatever. She jumped in there and she's done an incredible job with it. Um, I, you know, it, I, I have no doubt that Jay Platt could probably jump in there and do well with it as well. But she's established herself there in that role at this point. I think she's going to keep it for a little while. Um, it's nice that we've got that depth there in case something should happen. Again, be ready when your number is called type situation. So it's pretty impressive to see, and starting to see some more of that depth across the team, not just at goal. But yeah, it's it's got me more optimistic about this team than I have been in a little while. So
And it's certainly a situation for Louisville as well. As it's not just the goalkeeper back there doing all that defensive work. She's got a pretty strong defensive line in front of her as well, and that's really helped her a lot too. And that's been kind of a combination of players that have got experience and have been there a while, and then some of them that maybe not so experienced but have stepped in to do the job. Uh, as much as we like to tease uh, people about this, and anytime I see K Morissette, I'm like, can you find just 1 or 2 more years eligibility to do draw controls?
yeah,
Because you haven't been able to teach anybody since you've been an assistant coach how to do them properly. She always gets a big kick out of that. She goes, "You wouldn't believe how hard I had to study just to learn how to do a draw and da 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 da."
I remember they showed some of the drills she did,
Yeah,
just reaction drills and everything. It was impressive stuff.
totally into it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
but we actually have number 8 in draw controls per game in the nation right now in
Mhm.
Maddie McKee, who has kind of been one of the players in waiting to do these draw controls. Uh, Daryl, I'm not sure your familiarity with lacrosse and how much you're aware of the game, but the draw control is a very, very important part of the lacrosse game.
Yeah, I've talked about it before. I haven't been able to get eyes on them yet, and I would like to get over there at some point. I think Jared and I were talking about it the other day. Just these daytime games kind of hinders the access to get over there, even though I am on campus. But in terms of competition and playing against the other team, I think I understand how important draws can be, because it's in my mind, this is like you're face to face. I'm gonna be quicker than you and win this battle right here. This in itself is its own battle. um and I just think that it could lead to a momentum shift, possibly lead to a momentum shift, or just establishing your own dominance in a match. So yeah, it's not my most understand sport. I would like to get better at it, but just a few things I've been noticing about the squad, or this season, is just the way that they've been playing so far this season, getting some wins over teams that they've lost to previously in previous years. Finally getting over a little bit of a hump there. Looking at Virginia, you mentioned, is this the year that we finally get the win over them, because it's been so close? I think it could go either way. We're at their house. Virginia's undefeated. Um, but they're got some high scoring matches. You mentioned the goal for Louisville and her ability to save some. I just think maybe that this could be the year that Louisville gets a win against Virginia. But Virginia's got some good wins over ranked squads, Stanford and Princeton. So it's just, I think it could be another close match. If they do pull out a win in Virginia, that'd be a great start in conference play.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely unbelievable. And the Cards have not played badly this season. They they had a lead against Denver, and Denver I think was number 13 at the time, but I think Denver has since moved up into the top 10. What they had a 4-1 lead and ended up losing 5-4.
Yeah, Denver posted a 3-goal fourth quarter, and part of that goes back to the draw controls, which we just mentioned a minute ago, because draw controls allow lacrosse to be such a game of runs that you just get a good few draw controls in a row, maintain possession. I mean, you could be stuck on defense for several minutes, several possessions, just because the way the draw control works. It's not like most sports where if you score, the other team gets the ball. It's a free for all each after each goal.
Yeah, it's. I harken it back to the old days of basketball when they do a jump ball after every
The center
goal.
jump, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of a bizarre, almost anachronistic thing anymore. I think to do it that way, but
Yeah, and they have made some changes in the lacrosse rules over the years that they now play 4 quarters instead of 2 halves.
they added a shot clock, which I think is
They've
fantastic.
added a shot clock, which is
Yeah.
definitely is a good thing to have, especially in close games late where the pressure's on. We got to do something with this thing because the time's going to run out on us, and the other team's going to get it. Their last win against Lindenwood, and people kind of maybe raise their noses a little bit. Lindenwood, well, who is that? Lindenwood was the D2 champion in the NCAA last year.
Yeah,
And
they're
there are
not
a lot
bad.
of good D2 schools who simply don't have either the resources or maybe the player factor to go to D1, but could go to D1 and beat a number of teams in the D1 standings, okay? Well, Lindenwood took D2 last year, and we beat them 12-7. Now, granted, they had some graduation. All teams do, though. They had a pretty strong roster back, and Teeter was excited about that. When I chatted with him, he said, the thing that we did that I've been wanting to see us do all year is we played for the full 60 minutes today. We got off to a great start, and then we played good coming at the start of the second half. We made good adjustments, and he gave Lindenwood a lot of credit. He said they were scrappy when they came out and switched things up. We had to hesitate a little bit before we could make the adjustments right away. But certainly to have a win like that, it's got to be a confidence builder. I would think, Jared, going into somebody like Virginia, who is considered one of those traditional ACC lacrosse powers, along up there with North Carolina, with Duke, and some of the others.
Yeah, it builds momentum is the big thing, and you showed that you can beat anybody of any level, regardless how good they are, with the wins against both Colorado and Lindenwood. And Lindenwood had the biggest, I guess, offensive attack of the 3 teams Louisville's played so far, and they handled it well. So you need to kind of ride that and push forward at Virginia and say, hey, here's what we've done so far. We've had some strong offensive outings, but our defense has just really helped propel us forward this year, and use that.
So we certainly wish them the best of luck up there. They've definitely got some very, very good scoring on this team for the Cards who can come out and do things. Kylia Dobson, one that's a really good scorer for the Cards. Tiffany Latoli, another one who can score. I think you look at some of the major ones, the Nakazawa sisters, and there's really a funny story about them as well. Uh, how they have basically transformed in being on campus for 2 years. Kokoro for the first year, joined by her sister the second year. How they've actually transformed into a pair of sisters who like to play pranks on the coach now. And last year they used to walk around, or at least Kokoro used to walk around scared of him.
That's
and,
awesome.
and would not get near him. But her sister came in. The rest of the team kind of embraced him, and now they play jokes on the coach. It's like the coach was asking them the other day where something was, and they said, "No, that's not in Japan. That's in China."
Oh,
Oh, that's mean.
And
I
and
like
T- yeah, and Teeter was kind of like, "Oh, I didn't realize that." And actually, it was Nicole Peroni who started laughing. And she goes, "They're pulling your leg, coach." And he goes, "Oh." In fact, they had pulled his leg earlier when he asked them, "Do you have a third sister at home?"
Uh, yeah, well, a lot of people are asking that right about now in Louisville
And
athletics.
and they kind of looked at, from what I understand, they kind of looked at each other. Yes, we have Nicole. You have a sister named Nicole? I said, yes.
It's such a Japanese name too.
And so he was like, what grade is she in? He goes, she's here with us. It's Nicole Peroni. She is our sister. So it's good to hear about a team having those kind of interactions and fun where they're not afraid of the coach anymore. So let's hope they can go on with it and keep it rolling. But there's also other things going on. We've got softball today, and I believe that's already started, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have my ESPN Plus pulled up, but the softball, they're off to a good start. I don't think that you can really knock them too much, and certainly losing last night, kind of a late loss on that one. But Gerald, this is a softball team that I think could be a real sleeper here, one that could come up and win some ACC games they're not expected to, and certainly got a lot of pitching this year.
Yeah, man, what a buzzkill in that game last night. I didn't realize it started so late after it was scheduled. So I feel like maybe some nerves and some anxiety sitting around waiting for almost 2 extra hours might have contributed to it. But I mean, they come out in the top of one, get some runs on the board, and then give it up in the final, bottom of the sixth, I believe. Just let go of just the lead they had. An unfortunate loss. Could have had a really good one on the road for their schedule. It's just really disappointing that they weren't able to steal that one.
Indeed, as they got a pretty good performance out of Taylor Roby. The thing is, they only used her for 3 innings in the circle,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of wonder, what was the strategy there? I mean, when Roby pitches, as we saw last year, Daryl, she can go 7, no problem.
Right.
And when you've
And
got her, yeah,
I think it's Holly April's probably still just kind of playing around with the pitching, trying not to overload Taylor like she had last year. Trying to get these other pitchers in the rotation, looking ahead towards the rest of the weekend and how many games they had on the schedule. I think probably, I mean, they had the lead 3-1 in after four. So I mean, probably thinking it was a good time to make a change, but I'm not sure I know the exact reason. Didn't get my eyeballs on it. Didn't hear anything about a specific reason, like she was struggling or anything like that, or she was feeling some pain. Not sure. Just I'm sure she would have kept her in after that disappointing loss.
I certainly think one of the big moves that has helped softball out this year too was the acquisition of Daisy Hess, who
Right.
came in off of the waiver and from Georgia State and ended up on the roster. Who kind of came onto the roster and said, "Allie, I know you're a great shortstop, but that's what I play. Go to third base, please." And Alexander moved to third base as Daisy Hess came in and took over at shortstop. And she has been, from what I understand, incredible at the position. And certainly, although Alexander wasn't bad, guys, okay,
Mm-hmm.
she's
Now,
certainly good.
Allie played the whole left side of the infield in high school and travel ball, so it's not like third base was a foreign concept for her, which was good. But yeah, when you have somebody like Daisy Hess, who was a superstar for 4 years, or sorry, for 3 years at Georgia State, come in, yeah, she's going to command that shortstop spot without a doubt. But I mean, I think they get along really well, especially they seem to be in sync on the left side of the infield, which is good because that's something where I feel like Louisville has certainly struggled over the years.
And as somebody who played, I mean, it's not. I just think that people that you have a position that you like and you prefer, and some people prefer third, some people prefer shortstop, and it's just finding the other person that wants the opposite position. And when you do find those two that work really well together, it could be really great on defense. So I think that that's just kind of um, just a convenience. If she goes to third and she prefers it there, more power to her. Because third was one of the scariest positions I could have ever played.
Yeah, certainly in my days of playing softball, though not at all similar to women's softball, but uh, I had to play third base one year, and I was taking my my rosary beads with me out there because in slow pitch softball, where you get
No time.
260-pound guys just drilling shots down the line,
Yeah,
you don't know whether to try and field it or just take cover.
I would venture to say third base you got to be tougher.
Oh,
Shortstop you got to cover more area, but third base you got to be quicker.
Yeah.
oh yeah, and if you're going to play up on a batter, which we never did in men's softball, you never played up on anybody. That
I
was
wouldn't if I was an umpire, I wouldn't let you. Scary. Like
yeah,
I don't want to see somebody die today.
that would
There's
be
a reason that there's been such a strong push for the face masks in softball, and
right.
besides pitcher, that playing one of the
They
corners
put
is
others, yeah.
tough because of you're looking at milliseconds reaction time, not even a full second, milliseconds. And I mean, a ball coming that hard and that fast at you can do some serious damage, and we've seen that before in various games. It's terrifying.
Especially with the progression of the game and the equipment as the years go on, it's not the same game that was played 20 years ago.
Oh,
It's
not at
just
all.
yeah, I just think that we should progress with the game, and I agree with face masks on the corners. Maybe not at first base, but definitely third.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I'm glad that they've got that acquisition where they can do that now. And I would hope that they would, although you don't see it very often. It's just why take the chance, girls? Golly.
Right. My mom always said, I paid a lot of money for those teeth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of the things we also noticed is that we had talked with Holly April before the season started. And I said, is this a team that's going to put together 2 or 3 home runs and inning and kind of just overpower opponents? Or are you a small ball club? And then she kind of looked at who was there with her, and Roby just kind of said small ball. And Coach agreed. She goes, we're a small ball club. We may put together, 2 or 3 base hits and get a run, or a base hit, a walk, an error, and get a run. We don't have a lot of home run hitters on this team except for basically Taylor.
Mhm.
And if you'll take a look at last night, they actually had 5 hits and 6 walks in the game and scored 3 runs off those. Doesn't sound like much, does it?
Right.
But stringing together base runners is how you score in
Exactly.
Holly's case. So, if you pick up 3 triples in a game, as Case so well pointed out in his article, and then strand those runners on third base, what good does it do? But if you can get somebody who can hit a single and then maybe go down and steal second, and then you get somebody tap one over the shortstop's head, run around, get to third, you're waiting there, but then a wild pitch or something, or maybe a walk, all of a sudden you've got the bases loaded.
It's so disappointing to have runners on the bases and to have them just walk off the field at the end of an inning. It really makes me upset.
And if you want to do something to get the Holly April infamous scowl, ask her
Yes.
about left on base.
Yes, which I believe a couple years ago that was like her not downfall, but her Achilles heel was runners in scoring position or at least on bases, and how many runners were left on bases and ended up in losses. So
And I think
that is
that's
not a
back
preference.
when she had a lot more what you want to say like power hitters, home run hitters, which home run hitters typically are a high risk, high reward. It's either going to go over the fence or it's probably going to be a pop up, or many of them
Yeah.
tend to be a little bit slower around base path when you look at people like Taylor Roby, Michaela Hurst, Marissa Becker back in the day, where they may hit one to right field and get thrown out running to first. And that's just part of it. And that's where the high risk, high reward factor comes in.
And that was the sad part of it, is that was something that was going to happen. You didn't have that speed. In fact, it got to be when she first got here, I would kind of take a look at her and say, do we want to talk about the runners left on? Yes or no, coaches? A lot of times she would just get that scowl and go, I don't think we want to cover that in our interview.
It's the joy and excitement, Paul.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, I could have been a real butthead and started out and said, Coach, let's talk about the 8 left on base here. And then probably had a aluminum bat up inside my head, which probably wouldn't have felt too good. But, so we wish them the best of luck today as they go out there. Columbia, I'm not real familiar with Columbia. as a team, so I can't give you any hints on how the Cards might do against them. But I certainly think that there is hitting galore in this lineup, guys. If you take a look at it, so hopefully we can put some stuff together and take two today down in Orlando, and maybe Holly will let them wear the mouse ears and run around town after the games.
Yeah.
Who knows? The big event coming up, certainly one that I know most of our Cardinal Nation here that love women's sports are waiting for tomorrow is, of course, the game against Notre Dame. We got ESPN on this one coming in to do this one. It's going to be one that basically determines whether the Cards get to play on Thursday or Friday. Jared, you studied this maybe a little bit more than I have on this, but I mean, let's face it, we're one lucky shot that should have been called for a walk away from beating these gang up in South Bend earlier this season. Okay,
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna get them in our place. I know Walls wants to see 12 or 13,000 in there. I'd love to see that too. I think that might be a little high estimate, but prove me wrong, Louisville fans, please prove me wrong. Let's look at this one, Jared. They obviously know how to play us. We know how to play them. What's on the line here? What's going to happen?
It's going to be big because Notre Dame is still fighting for the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament alongside Duke. However, that's going to fall more on what Duke does due to the tiebreaker. And then kind of same with Louisville. Louisville controls their own destiny here, sitting tied with Florida State at 4th in the ACC. Cards own the head-to-head tiebreaker on that one. So the worst they can finish is 5th. A win, Louisville's the automatic 4 seed. They could finish tied with Virginia Tech. Hokies have the tiebreaker against the Cards on that one, so 3rd place is not possible. But a loss could hurt the Cards because Florida State plays Clemson. Clemson's struggled since ACC play began, and I'm going to go on and consider Florida State a win tomorrow. I'm hoping that Clemson, Arthur's crew down there, will prove me wrong. I would love to see a Clemson win just to give us a safety net. But Jeff Walz is certainly emphasizing the difference in an extra day's bye means, and especially when it comes to rest. You're looking at potential 3 games in 3 days or 4 games in 4 days, and that's demanding on an athlete of any level. So you really want to play to get that bye. Plus, you want to get revenge against Notre Dame. I think that Notre Dame game, maybe a couple made layups here and there, would have helped us out as well, but I don't want to get into as frustrated as I get with layups, I don't want to go on a big rant there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we should easily have 10,000 plus tomorrow. I've heard talks that they're looking at opening up the upper level on the home sideline, which would be phenomenal because they did sell about 10,000 tickets as of yesterday. So, and now that they're selling $5 tickets, that promotional with the Mikasa with the half court shot, I really enjoyed watching that video. Get out there, recognize these seniors, cheer them on. Senior stuff is going to start before noon, so I strongly urge you to try and get in your seats much earlier than normal. I think all these seniors really deserve as much recognition as you can give them. And obviously, a crowd favorite, Mikasa Robinson, show her love and support for one final time this year, because the Cards aren't going to be hosting games at the M Center for the NCAA tournament this year. So this is her final time in the M Center.
Jeff, when you take a look at, as we mentioned, Clemson a little bit earlier, hopefully can play a spoiler role in the Cards' hopes to get that 4 seed. Clemson, it's already been kind of set and determined. They're going to have to play Wednesday regardless.
Yeah.
Whether they win or lose. What's the motivation for them to come up and beat a Florida State when it's not going to improve their conference standing any? Is it just purely an emotional, adrenaline-fueled thing?
Emotion, pride, got something to prove that you can beat one of the teams that's generally considered one of the better in the ACC, and depending upon their opinions of various other schools, it might be hey, we get to play a spoiler for them, and we get to help out this other team. Yeah, it may be. I don't know what the general consensus is there, but it's a possibility that.
I'm with you on that, Jeff, because I think that the men's team could kind of they're doing the same thing. Like they ruined Clemson's shot at the NCAA tournament. What were they playing for? yeah, they had the 2013 championship team here, and you'd like to get a win for that team and the fans, but they did spoil Clemson's NCAA chances. So that's the spirit for me. Plus, you don't go out in a game to not win it. You don't go out there to just chuck up threes or chuck up anything and not have intentions of them going in and trying to score more than the other team. Because if I'm a coach, you better win this game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is you're fighting for next season's playing time.
Coach Darrell says, "Y'all better get on board. Better win this game."
I'm like the toughest coach. I would be the worst coach.
I would not want to do a post game interview with Darrell if she lost. This would be bad. But and you got to think maybe Notre Dame is looking back a little bit to themselves and saying, we had North Carolina State beat at the end of July and didn't pull it off.
January.
If we'd been able to beat them, or January, you're right.
July, all the way back summer. I was looking at their schedule, Paul, and Notre Dame had Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh this last week, where they rolled both of them. And I don't know, UofL with the warm up tune up game with Miami on Thursday night, I think is just probably a better warm up game than Notre Dame's had. Cards almost had them at their house. Some couple questionable calls here and there, and it could have gone the other way. I think that Louisville will be fired up for seniors, for payback, for postseason implications, and we hate Notre Dame. It's just it's an understood thing that we just love beating Notre Dame. So
it's a rivalry, and as far as them beating Georgia Tech, I think pretty much Georgia Tech is cashing the chips and just said, okay, fine. We're not going to, obviously be able to skip Wednesday. We're playing in the tournament. We're probably not going to get an NCAA bid. So fine, whatever. We're going to a lesser postseason conference. I don't know what kind of motivation Georgia Tech would have. But anyway, that's why they play the games. That's why they come out and do what they do. And a couple of things we can be guaranteed to see tomorrow. I think Jeff is one of all. Costa's going to be real emotional.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be emotional.
Without a doubt. This is obviously, it's been an incredible, 5 years now for, and she has developed as a player, as a person. She's looking towards her future as to what possibilities might be. I think she certainly expressed an interest in going into coaching herself. So I think there's a lot there that is going to be playing on emotions. So
I still think there's something left in the tank with her. I think that there's still the possibility of a Defensive Player of the Year award for her. So regardless of not being at home, I don't think that she sees an end yet. An end to this season. I think that she still sees that the doors are open to make a big impact for the program. And she's based on her postseason or her post-game comments the other night.
I think she's one of those girls that the fan base gang wants to see stay around Louisville for 20 years.
Absolutely.
Some kind of rule, okay.
And she might. We could see her as a volunteer coach, but as Darrell mentioned, she's not ready for her collegiate career to be over yet. In her mind, she's got 10 games left this year. She's got tomorrow, then she's got 3 ACC tournament games, and then she's got 6 NCAA tournament games. So I don't think she's trying to look anything past what she's got ahead of her right now with plenty of basketball to go.
Right.
I guess and maybe the final question I'll ask you all before we get into our final thoughts here is, how do you stop Olivia Miles? Anybody?
You put Casa on her and get her frustrated.
There was a moment, guys, in that first matchup where they did switch defenders, didn't they? They had Haley on her at first and then switched to Casa. Is that right? And it worked.
I remember right, yeah.
Yeah.
It worked, I think.
Casa can shut her down. Casa can frustrate her. And when Olivia Miles gets frustrated, she does things that puts her playing time in peril. We'll put it that way. So
I think
she
that's
does
what
things
you
like
do
get
for
her
her.
Trip to the locker room quicker.
Yeah.
I think that's what you got to do for Miles. Is you just got to get her flustered, make her make fast decisions, which Casa can totally do. Anytime she even thinks there's an inch that she can still add ball away, she's gonna try. She doesn't really get into foul trouble, knock on wood, but she has an ability to thread the needle and disrupt her opponents on defense.
And I think the crowd's gonna need to be a factor too. Anytime Olivia Miles has the ball in her hands, that crowd needs to be loud.
Everybody yell boo or
I like that.
or something.
Let's not throw stuff on the court like certain SEC teams do in football, but yeah, let's get loud and get in their head.
It all sounds good, and the old adage from your lips, to the Cards' ears. Let's hope that they can do something like that.
Plus the exciting news of Narika Kono's parents are flying in for the game.
Aw.
Awesome. Great. I'm glad
Oh
they're
man, I
going to see
didn't
another
see
game.
that. No, I did not.
And then they're gonna pretty much turn around and fly back out less than 24
Wow.
hours later. So
they're like gonna
serious
have like
jet
a
lag.
whole day, but it's like 2 days in real life, but it's only 1 day.
yeah, they're not gonna have a ton of time.
Weren't we just
Here
talking about
in
time
town.
travel, guys? I think they figured it out.
But I'm excited that her parents are gonna make it in for her, and I know it's gonna make it extra emotional.
Oh, what a great thing for
and how much the crowd. Oh yeah, she's talkative. Once you get her talking, it just takes her a minute to get her out of her shell.
we got her talking a little bit, and I said, "Do you know Kokoro Nakazawa on the lacrosse team?" She goes, "Yes." And I was asking her, "Do you think that she would be pretty good in basketball? Do you think she could defend you?" And Narika kind of looked at him and says, "Will she have a stick?" So there is a sly bit of humor in the woman, indeed. So, but yeah, it's great guns tomorrow. So everybody try to roll out for that one if you can get there. If you can't get there, certainly tune it in. I know Jared and I will probably be tweeting about the game quite a bit, and I think we'll have everybody there probably except Case. I don't know if he's made last minute plans to go or not, but and we're going to try and sneak Daryl down on Media Row with Sonya and I.
Yeah, we may have to kidnap Case to get the whole crew down there, and we'll have Sonya too. So it'd be a great time to get a picture of the entire crew.
We can put Case down there as one of the guys that wipes up after a spill. Just give him a couple of towels and sit him underneath the basket. So I'm a living representative. I'm here to clean up.
Just remember to be in your seats early for senior recognition.
Come in for the senior recognition early, please. If you're listening to this and plan on attending the game, I'd be in my seat by 11:45 at least, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at 6 seniors. You may want to go a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Well, Jared says earlier than 11:45. I usually get mine about 11:30 anyway. So, but let's go on in. Let's go in and do this, y'all. Let's go in. Let's just go ahead and beat these Irish and go ahead and secure our 4th place spot in the ACC tournament and go from there. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We're fired up now. I'm sure Coach Walls will have equally inspiring words for his team in the locker room tomorrow. Right now, what we're going to do is going to have some final thoughts. I've been doing these in alphabetical order lately, so with Case not being here, final thoughts goes to Daryl. You're first, Daryl.
That's perfect because I'm just amped sitting here thinking about tomorrow anyways. One thing I want is more cards chants. I didn't hear any on Thursday. I felt the crowd was great. They were loud, they were engaged, but there were not enough cards chants. Very small pickle I have, but let's give Notre Dame return the favor of their very annoying home crowd. They also picked up our lights thing. I don't know if y'all noticed when we played them. They have the green like third quarter Joker and the Thief lights thing going on too. I guarantee they picked that up here. So let's just make it a rocking crowd for them. Send them off with a loss and let them lick their chops all the way back to South Bend.
Absolutely so. We want them to remember their trip here and not remember it in a fond way. That's the best thing you can say about that. Jared, final thoughts?
We're going to skip over to the ACC Pick'em as we're bringing that back again this year, and that's coming up quick. Actually, the ACC tournament, as we mentioned, starts on Wednesday, so it's a quick turnaround from Sunday's basketball games. start working on those brackets to get them in. I think what the winner gets to go on a one-on-one date with Polly this year. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, they're going to help me build my tree house because I really want to get away from things. So I'm going to build up I've got a couple of trees out front that are ready to be chopped down, and I thought maybe a tree house on one of those until they get knocked down will be fine.
Yeah, but we're working on. There's going to be some food gift cards that we're working on for first and second place for the ACC Pick'em and NCAA Pick'em. So make sure to get those going and invite your friends and family. We'd love to have them involved as well.
Jared comes up to me and hands me $50 worth of food cards. Hey, I got these already. I'm like, why do I have to keep them? What have you seen my desk lately? Do you think I'll be able to find these after 1 week? No.
I will. We'll give them to Daryl to hold on to for safekeeping.
Oh, that's kind of like giving the cat, the can opener.
Yeah, that's tempting.
Uh-huh. I could see Daryl having some mighty fine Cracker Barrel meals. Oh, this is my reward for writing here. Yeah, we'll see about that one, Jared. But you certainly, we do have it planned. What I'll probably do is on Monday in the column, I'll have the way the bracket looks. We'll open up. Actually, I guess you could start sending in your picks Sunday night after.
Yeah,
Sunday
and
night after the final game, and do
yeah,
that.
feel free to comment on the site with your picks. You can email them so everybody else has a fair chance to see everyone's picks. Any that I get via email, I will go ahead and post in the comments as well, just so everybody can see everybody's stuff.
So there you have it. I think we usually do a little better for the NCAA tournament, but we usually get what did we have? I can't even remember the last year, but I think we had 15 plus in this thing, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we were flirting with about 18 for the ACC tournament, and then what,
Okay.
22, 23 for NCAA tournament. So we'd love to get those numbers up a little bit as well, too. Friends
And all you got to do is write down 13 names. Some of them twice if you want.
Yeah, just going to put Louisville to win the whole thing, right?
It's usually a popular decision.
No.
Jeff, what you got for me?
Yeah, so my drip feed of off-season volleyball news continues. I do have a tidbit. We have a new transfer coming in. Brigitta Petrenko is her name, and I'm probably not quite getting that right on pronunciation. She's coming in from Coastal Carolina. She will be a graduate student. She'll only be with us for a year, and she is a setter. So kind of filling in for a position where we've got a couple of good players, but they're kind of younger. So getting in a little bit more experienced player in that position for a year. So there you go.
It's certainly always good to hear about improvements going on with Louisville volleyball. Sounds like this could be a nice move too.
Oh, one more little, I guess, last minute thought. Raised Red is wrapping up on campus where they raise the money for the pediatric cancer research, the 24-hour dance marathon. They just announced the amount this year is $551,954. So
Nice.
A wonderful news there. Always, I love seeing the final number and the amount of funds they raised.
Well, absolutely so, and such a worthy cause. It's always good to donate into that. Just final thoughts out of here. I'm going to be quite honest with you all. I'm a little bit depressed that I can't go to the ACC tournament this year. I've had a lot of fun doing this in past years, covering the event. I've made some nice friends down there. That was the first time actually I got to meet Arthur's wife was at that tournament and some other things. So it's a little disappointing to me, but that I can't go because of health reasons. But I am going to double my efforts then on the television side of things and watch everything I can broadcast oriented toward it. That'll be on, and that of course starts on Wednesday and I'll run through Sunday. So if I appear to be bleary-eyed, incoherent, and stopping after 20 minutes of talk to do a commercial on our radio show, it's because I will have excessive television exposure to a basketball event. Let's just talk. And I haven't even seen who's covering it this year. I'm hoping it's the ACC network, but I
You
think
gotta
Bally
think it would
Sports
be.
has done this in the past.
Uh,
And if it's Bally Sports, that's going to be a negative thumbs down. But
that place can't go bankrupt soon enough. Come on.
yeah, we'll go further into depth on this, and I'll study it, and I'll definitely have it in place by Monday's article. And Jeff might even find that before me and have it listed on who's going to show it. But I know that usually they'll go to ACC, but at the very end,
Yeah.
and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Saturday and Sunday games go to ESPN. It's kind of mixed up, but we'll figure it out, and we'll have it laid out for you all,
Yeah.
so
We'll
you'll
get
be
it.
able to follow along. Yeah. But hey, fun show today. Thanks to everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week unless you know something I don't. So, go Cards.